All right, Nick, coming in out of the ninth. And I'm gonna leave it at that. No one's gonna blame anything on Trace tonight. I will say this one's gonna be a kid show. I'll get ahead of that and say this one's gonna be a kid show. Last night, not a kid show.
You don't want me editing the podcast till 4 a.m. trying to bleep you out?
I knew last night was a bad night. I knew that when I was going to bed, and I felt a little remorseful. I also feel remorseful, believe it or not, for people that might have kids in their car when they're listening to the show and they're like, "Oh, well, there goes Trace. Probably have to turn this off." So yeah, I there's a little remorse there, but that's how I felt. So am I going to apologize because Kevin Newman decides he's going to get 12 hits in this series? No, I'm not. I'm not going to apologize for some of the things I said. It
was an emotional game. I think I got them all out. I made an executive decision. I thought damn was acceptable.
Yeah.
I bleeped everything else out.
So and I appreciate that.
I might have missed one though. I kind of stopped editing once I felt like you calmed down.
I did. I did calm down.
You had a streak. Yeah. You had a streak going.
Yeah.
Buck Farmer.
13 hits, man. 13 hits.
I'm gonna say
you must be ahead of me.
I like this move.
Does he already have an out?
No.
Okay, good.
No, I was just excited Buck Farmer's pitching. I'm at 10. I paused it on the 1-0.
I think I'm with you, bro. You go back to live.
All right. How about that?
I think I'm with you. I'm 2-0.
I'm 2-0 right now. 8.
12, 11.
No.
Wow. You got to pause play then.
I paused at 5.
6, 5, pitch.
All right. Yep.
Swing and a miss.
I like this. I like going to Farmer here. 4-run lead. Give Diaz the day off.
How many pitches did Diaz throw yesterday? Like 900?
19. None of them were strikes.
We don't trust Diaz. That's what this is about.
I think it's part of also stopping the bleeding. I feel like if Diaz blew a save and you haven't lost 11-12, I may be a little more willing to say, all right, just throw him back out the next night. But
no,
this is the situation, in my humble opinion.
I've eaten 5 pounds of beef jerky, and there's 5 more pounds left in this bag, and I'm trying to stop.
It's impossible. I don't know how anyone does not eat a whole bag of beef jerky.
I think I've eaten $50 worth of beef jerky. That's 2 outs, Nick.
There we go. There we go.
All right. This is so great. Can I tell you something I almost did today because I was just tired? I almost put my whole account on the Reds. I wish I would have done that now with 2 outs in the ninth, but I don't know if I would have been able to handle that. But I seen, not to give free ads, but I seen Natty Sports say that he was betting on the other team tonight. And I legitimately almost quote tweeted him and put $3,000 on this game, which is basically ridiculous if we're being honest. I don't have that kind of coin, but it would have been funny. It would have been funny. It would have been the best dunk of all time if they would have won. And it's looking ideal right now. But like I said, I chickened out.
Would have been great marketing too. Not gonna lie, that might get picked up by a couple.
I just didn't have it in me. I should have done it. Part of the reason why I wanted to do it too was because sometimes I think those apps, I've tried to get that money out of that app for 3 different times, and they tell me that I need to submit my identity again. It's you guys just trying to hold me hostage here or what? But so in my mind, I'm I'll never get this thing out anyway, so I might as well just see if I can't go for it all. Let's get some supers here real quick. We got some supers, some early supers. All in Christ, thank you. Loyal friend of the program, loyal friend to the world. All in Christ. Let's turn this around.
Good to see All in Christ come back after last night.
Correct.
Oh, come on. They hit like 5 miles an hour.
It's going tough when Eugenio and Newman, they just find it. I mean, they literally can't hit the ball hard and they get hits every time. Olin Christ says, let's turn this around. Build on this. Friedl coming back. CES is coming back. Marte's coming. Finally leaving the West Coast soon. Streak starts now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know when Friedel's going to be back, to be fair. CES hopefully is back at some point and he plays well. That's the biggest thing. The West Coast trip, still got a little ways to go on that as well. Got a game tomorrow, and they got a 4-game set against the Dodgers. You know what would be crazy if they're able to win tomorrow and then sweep the Dodgers? We'd be all the way back. Jack Bauer coming in to being a nut cutter. Thank you, Jack. Very much appreciated. Coming in, cutting nuts at the right time. That's all we need. Make a play. Never knew I needed it that much. All right, folks.
Buck Farmer. Let's go.
We needed it. And you know what you needed more than you really ever knew that you needed? This intro.
Dbacks has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Foster. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game. That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none. Welcome, Joe Landa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded. The outfield deep and around toward right to the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on. Long drive. Right field. And this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb. Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again. The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! They did! Reds win! Reds win! Line to the right field. Junior, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Does it have a chance? The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed a no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God.
It's been a while. I have to check the expiration date. Make sure it's okay. But I got news for everybody. It's a winning edition of Chatterbox Reds. And by God, that feels so good. Nick, how you feeling, buddy?
I'm feeling great. As demoralizing as last night was, what a big win. Credit to this team. I'm sure they felt it like we did. They came out, they battled. One of the more complete games of the year. I mean, top to bottom. So many guys contributed. Hunter Greene stepped up in a really big way. Just a full team effort, and that's what you need when you're struggling like the Reds have been struggling.
Let's not forget, I know we'll get to it in the box score recap, and we'll get to that right after this, but the Reds are down 2-0. They could have, again, these guys are professionals. They should show up every day. They should play to the last out, but that's not guaranteed, and it's the last two nights, if anything, they've felt different. I don't know whether or not it'll continue, but they do certainly feel like they're having much better at bats. They're competing, and they're not just rolling over. So they got a tough task ahead of them. I'm well aware of it. They obviously got to bounce back tomorrow, try to win the series, and then they got the Dodgers. So we'll get into all that. We got a pretty deep show here. We have Hunter Greene, exceptional. Will Benson. Thank the Lord for Will Benson finally getting on the board. Candelario, Stevenson. I'm sure we'll get into some of the clutch hits that this Reds ball club got tonight, and I'm probably finish the show up with maybe some Brandon Williamson talk. So stick around. But before we go anywhere, we'll do what we always do, and that is the box score recap.
All right, give me just 1 second.
Nick needs a second, so this is where I'm going to give him a second.
Thank you.
So while he's doing that, I'm going to say that you guys are unbelievable. And I know that we do this every night, and you might be tired of me giving you some praise, but seriously, we do this show. It's 12:17 in the morning. We got 235 people in the chat right now, and that's absurd. So let's do some supers here real fast. Kyle Berry says, thanks for keeping us going through the slump, boys. Thank you. This isn't a thank us. This is a thank you. Thank you, Kyle. Drew Garrison. By the way, Drew, chin up, brother. All right? Listen, you can't watch the internet people, they'll get to you. You put out a post, some people want to say some things. It's easy to say some things when you don't have nothing to lose, right? I'll just leave it at that. Drew, keep your chin up. Keep fighting the good fight. That is life, because it's not easy. And if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth living. That's how I look at it. Drew Garrison says, hello, friends. Winning is fun. And it is fun. Winning fixes a lot of problems, too, if we're being honest. Dalton Trumbo. He drops, need to bring back the fireball for the Dodgers. Dalton, I'll tell you this right now. If the Reds take 3 or 4 from the Dodgers on the final game, if they win the final game, I'll take a fireball shot for every run they score in that last game. All right, Dalton. I know that was a lot there, but hopefully you can keep up. All right, Nick. Box score recap presented by somebody.
All right, Reds taking on the Diamondbacks. Reds no hits, just 1 walk through the first 3 innings. Future Hall of Famer Slade Ciccone. No score going to the bottom of the 3rd. Hunter Greene gave up a double. Then he walked Kevin Newman. And then Tucker Barnhart, a sac bunt. Then a Blaze Alexander single made it 2-0 Diamondbacks. But the Reds responded right away, top of the 4th with 1 out. Mike Ford smoked a single. Tyler Stevenson crushed a double, 107 off the bat. Then a Jake Fraley sac fly made it 2-1. Jeimer Candelario then singled home the game-tying run, 2-2. Top of the 5th, Reds right back at it. Connor Capel, a leadoff single. Then 2 batters later, Will Benson hit his first home run since April 27th, 4-2 Reds. Top of the 6th, Reds came right back at it again. Tyler Stevenson singled. Jake Fraley singled. Then with 2 outs, National League All-Star coach David Bell went to Santiago Espinal off the bench to pitch it for Connor Capel. Connor Capel, who had just singled the inning before. What did Santiago Espinal do? He smoked a single to left field. 5-2 Reds. Then All-Star coach David Bell went to Stuart Fairchild off the bench to pinch it for Jacob Hurtubise. He smoked a single at 103. 6-2 Reds. Reds scored 6 runs for the first time since April 27th. And that was more than enough for Hunter Greene. He was fantastic. 7 innings, just 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Brent Suter pitched a perfect 8th, striking out 2. And then Buck Farmer came in the 9th. He was fantastic. Just gave up a weak hit to Eugenio Suarez. Reds hang on and win 6-2. Reds now 18-24 on the season.
And we have a deep drive of the day. My God, we finally got a real one. We got a real one, everybody. And it came off the bat of Will Benson. That's his 5th on the year. And it was a absolute rocket blast. 388 feet. Looked a lot farther than that. 99.9 miles an hour. The StatCast was wrong. It was actually 100.0. It was a 10th of a decimal off. Cincinnati's win probability at that point, 74.4. And I got great news, everybody. I come with good news. Shout out all in Christ. 74.4 was actually 100%. The Deep Drive of the Day is sponsored by Deep South Commodities, and DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. And by God, John, you deserve that. You deserve that deep drive of the day, because we've been fighting for our lives to get one here recently, especially a meaningful one. Down 2-0, man. Down 2-0, Nick. Bounce back, and here we are. Here we are. And you know what? Let's do this first. I know we're going to talk about the offense, and by God, it was nice to see them pound out as many hits as they did. But Hunter Greene, this is where I always kind of smile, and I know, Nick, we're not going to do the dunk stuff. You know, we can't go on our victory tour parade right now and just kill everybody. Let's be humble. Let's just remind everybody nicely that Hunter Greene, he went deep into a baseball game, only gave up 2 runs. I don't know if you've looked of late, but he's probably going to be an all-star. Just throwing that out there. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, going deep into the game. He's the only Red starter that can go deep into the game. The Reds have got 5 starts of 7 innings this season. Hunter Greene's responsible for 3 of them. So shout out to everyone who lost their minds when he only went 4 innings. You know, I'm not going to dunk on anyone tonight. You know,
I told you don't do that. I told you don't do that.
No, you know what? I'm fired up. I've been taking it all fucking day. You know what? I deserve it. I deserve it a little bit, I think. I don't know.
Go ahead. I mean, I'm not going to stop you. Go ahead. If you want to take it. You're already halfway down the parade. You might as well finish it.
Now, Hunter Greene was great today. The Reds needed a start. They needed some length. I mean, this was back-to-back games. Sunday was a 10-inning game in San Francisco. Yesterday, they had to use the whole bullpen, including Alexis Diaz, who didn't have it. Hunter Greene going 7 innings on tonight was huge. He was great. Velocity was back. It was down the last start. It was great. It was just a fantastic start from Hunter Greene. He looks like he's improving. He looks like he's developing. He looks like he's getting closer to being the full package that you want. He's not all the way there. He's gonna have another bad start at some point. But he is improving, and that was the most important thing for Hunter Greene, was that we saw some significant signs of improving this year, and he's absolutely doing that right now.
He attacked the zone tonight. I thought he attacked the zone tonight. He had good command. He had command of his slider. Used the slider to his advantage on a few strikeouts. Unfortunately for the no free ads, but unfortunately for the parlay that we keep posting on X, he did not get the 7 strikeouts, which caused them not to win the parlay. They had a chance tonight. But back on a serious note with Hunter Greene, hopefully, if more than anything, this can kind of at some point I want him to break through the stigma or the worry of always feeling like you're on pins and needles of having to prove yourself, and you just eventually just kind of just feel like you're there. You belong there. You don't have to prove anything. Just continue finding ways to get better. And I'm not saying that's where he's at, or that he's. I just have a hard time believing how young he is. There's a couple things that he's said that stick out to me that I think somewhat telling of his mental mindset. One of them is he'd always say that he doesn't wish upon anybody to have to learn in the big leagues, and he said that out loud. And I think that he's even said a couple times where it's been tough on him to try to quote unquote learn in the big leagues. I think more or less that just tells me that he feels pressure, that he wish he could not have that and be able to throw in AA or AAA until he gets some confidence underneath his belt on what it is that he feels comfortable doing on a night in, night out basis on the mound. I just want him to get past that and just go pitch, because I feel like when he competes and he attacks the zone, his stuff's good more times than not. Everybody's not immune to, how, like you said, having a rough outing. But the times in which I felt like he struggled this year, when he's just, and again, maybe it's command, but I don't know if it's as much command as it is commitment. Not to get all crazy tonight and use big words, but I think his commitment level on challenging guys has been significantly better. And when he decides he's just going to go after guys and not worry about, somebody running into a fastball or whatever it may be, he does relatively well. And tonight, it felt like he got all the breaks that he never gets. He got some run support, and he had guys put the ball in play, which helps him from a pitch count perspective. So, all in all, you couldn't have asked for anything better than Hunter Greene than what he gave you tonight, to be quite honest. I know I said perfect game last night. He wasn't perfect, but he was damn close to it. So,
well, and Reds finally got him some runs. That's been big issue. Last 7 starts, 2 runs, 1 run, 0 run, 8 runs, 0 runs, 4 runs. They got him some runs, and then he put up zeros after it. We've seen several times this year, and not to say anything really negative about the starters, because they've more than done their job. But there's been a couple times this year where their offense has actually given them some runs, and they've given it right back. But Hunter Greene put up 0 after 0 after this team fought back. And this was a put the team on your back kind of night from Hunter Greene, and the Reds need a few more of those this year. But this was a big time start from Hunter Greene, and tonight he did it with the fastball and slider. 63 fastballs, 32 sliders, 6 splitters. Didn't get a single swing and miss on the splitter either.
No,
I don't think hardly any of them were even in the zone. So it seems like Hunter Greene.
Base hit.
Okay, and it seems like when Hunter Greene is on, he's just gonna go with what works, and then like that last start, he's gonna use those pitches more when maybe his velocity's down or the slider's not there or something like that. Not sure how well of a long-term recipe that is, but right now it's working, so it's really hard to be super critical of it, because the times of late where he's just gone with his 2 best pitches, he's been his most effective.
I still stand by the fact that if he can develop a third pitch, it'll allow him to be able to utilize something if something's not on. Like he finds he does get himself in trouble if he enters a game. And unfortunately, the sliders he can't throw it for a strike, or maybe it's just, again, that day it's not on. Doesn't mean he doesn't have a good slider. Tonight he was able to locate it. He was able to throw it for a strike, and he had guys guessing. And if he's able to do that, then the 2 pitches will work. It's one of those things where if he's not capable of consistently having the command for the slider, he's going to struggle. But having said that, doesn't mean that he can't do it. So we'll find out as we move along. I'm not going to crown it one way or the other, whether Hunter Greene's made it or whether Hunter Greene's continue to have a bunch of issues if he doesn't figure out a third pitch. So, for the most part, listen, you strip away the stigma around Hunter Greene, and you just look at his numbers, and if it was just a kind of a nameless player out there throwing the baseball for the Reds, I think almost the vast majority of this fan base would be thrilled to death with Hunter Greene. But unfortunately, that's not the case. He signed a contract, whether it was for, again, I laugh. I don't mean to laugh, but some people think it was a big contract. It's not a big contract, but some people think that. It's just the concept that some people are going to have this in their mind, Nick. They already have their mind made up before he goes out there. And if he struggles a little bit, then unfortunately he's gonna have a certain part of this fan base that might not be pleased. I also want to say this: like, I think social media as a whole, almost not just the Reds, but just as a whole, I think that there's a small minority of people that can be loud sometimes, and it doesn't mean that's what's actually indicative of a large portion of the fan base. So just because people complain about Hunter Greene time to time on Facebook or wherever the hell else you want to see your stuff, I don't think that if you polled people at Great American Ballpark, it would look even remotely the same as what you might feel on the internet. But that's here nor there. Will Benson, shout out to go ahead. You got one more thing on Hunter?
Sorry, I got one more thing on Hunter Greene. I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, go for
Hunter
it.
Hunter Greene on May 15th, 2022, 6.21 ERA. Hunter Greene on May 15th, 2023, 4.60 ERA. Hunter Greene on May 15th, 2024, 3.27 ERA. So this has been a guy that it has taken him some time to get started. He's remedied that. He's off to a much better start. Again, we'll see how the rest of the season plays off. I'm not going to jump overboard on it, but he's off to a much better start. If he could pitch like he was able to pitch down the stretch last year, could really be in for a special season with Hunter Greene.
Couldn't agree more. All right, let's jump into Will Benson. He got the leadoff opportunity tonight. David Bell. You're calling him All-Star David Bell, which I find hilarious. So I'm not going to use your shtick. I'll let you keep it up. But David Bell decides to stick him in the leadoff position, and he answers the bell, unintended. So for Will, I don't know what to make of him. I think he's already shown that he has the talent, or it's somewhere inside him to play at a high level. But it's just the consistency part where you scratch your head and you ask yourself how much of this is actually going to be consistent. So, we'll see if moving forward, if he's able to kind of break out of this little slump or whatever you want to call it that he's in. But it was good. It was good, if nothing else, to see him kind of get back on track tonight.
Will Benson just updated. He has a 752 OPS against right-handed pitching. He has not been as bad as the numbers indicate. He's faced too many lefties. And again, he's going to still have to face some lefties throughout the year. So you can't just be like, oh, he's only going to face righties. So that number is still a little lower than that. But, yeah, I mean, you still like it only has a 224 average and a 303 on base percentage. You still would like to see that on base percentage, obviously a little bit higher. But he has not been as bad as it's felt. And it's felt like he's been very bad. I've watched it too. It's felt worse. But when you look at the actual just splits, it tells a little bit of a different story. And I think it should hopefully encourage Reds fans more that, okay, now that he's in his role, I think he's going to see some improvement. And you saw tonight what these guys can do when they're in their role. You saw Santiago Espinal come off the bench, get a pinch hit single. You saw Stuart Fairchild come off the bench, get a pinch hit single. And even Connor Gapel, he got his hit against a right-handed pitcher before that. I thought Jacob Hurtubise had a couple pretty good at-bats. The first at-bat, I think he saw 6 pitches.
Yeah,
had a nice little line drive out to center field. Yep. This is good stuff. This is how you can survive with not all-star players or maybe fringe big league players, because you use the platoon advantage. You turn 2 average or slightly below average players into 1 average player.
Yeah. No, you've been screaming that all along. And I mean, I think I bid on that bandwagon last year, some way midway through the season, when I was suggesting that Jake Fraley, of all people, should be getting, at bats towards the end of the games, even if it was a lefty on lefty situation. And I watched him face enough lefties at some point where I realized that Kevin Newman was a much better option. And then from there, moving forward, I've kind of been on the platoon bandwagon per se. So you're right. We've kind of talked about that on previous shows and extended periods of time, that this team right now just is not what they thought they were going to come into the season with. So there's guys that are asked to do things that they're not asked to do, and Will Benson's one of those guys, and hopefully moving forward that's not going to be the case. All right, let's get into a couple of other guys. Candelario, this is a knock on wood statement, but he really does look great. Like it looks like he turned a corner, and now he's taking what I would argue, he just doesn't look lost at the plate. And I would even piggyback on the statement we made just a minute ago. The reason I think we think Will Benson's struggling maybe isn't even so much as like what his splits are, as much as it's looked, right? And looks can be deceiving, because it doesn't really matter how you look if you strike out. You can have a great at-bat, you strike out. If you have a terrible at-bat and you strike out, you still struck out. So at the end of the day, the result's the same. Just because it made you feel a little bit better, I guess it really doesn't theoretically matter. But Candelario, I guess for what I'm getting at, he does look comfortable, Nick. It feels like he's back, which I hesitant to say.
Candelario looks like the hitter that you signed.
Right.
again, he's not an all-star hitter. I don't think any of us really expect him to be an all-star hitter, but he's a solid above-average hitter. You need a lot more than Jeimer Candelario. He's not going to be, if Jeimer Candelario is your best one or two hitters, the Reds are still going to be in trouble. But Jeimer Candelario, and I said it, I mean, I was starting to get a little bit worried about the whole signing. Even me, I was starting to get a little bit worried about it. He's turned it around. This guy's a professional hitter, and he looks good. The bigger story overall is Tyler Stevenson, because this guy's playing great. He's playing outstanding on a team full of guys that have been underperforming. Tyler Stevenson, along with Ellie De La Cruz, is probably the only two players on this team that have overperformed. And I know you could look at Tyler Stevenson's 235 average and 739 OPS and say that doesn't scream great, but I think he's been a lot better than that. I think everyone who's watched his at-bats on a night-to-night basis, he's the one guy that has hit better than his numbers actually show. And he looks like a completely different hitter. He looks completely different behind the plate. Shout out to Tyler Stevenson, because he had to put in a lot of work this offseason. I don't think it just magically happened for him overnight.
No, Tyler Stevenson, the most improved player, I think, in my opinion, on this Reds ball club. And I know that maybe you could argue it could be one of the starters because they've been very good. But from a position player standpoint, I 100% think that it is Stevenson. And I don't know much as I think we always thought his offense was going to be there at some point, at least from an average standpoint in Major League Baseball. I don't know if we thought that he was going to be like a silver slugger or anything, but I definitely think that his defense has allowed him now to be in a position where he's above average catcher in this league. He just is. If you took a poll on what are the top 15 guys in the league, I think Tyler Stevenson shows up. So, that's a positive. And I think from our standpoint, for a season it's been pretty debilitating, and let's be honest about it, it's been pretty deflating. He's one of the few bright spots. If not, maybe outside of Ellie, the only other bright spot I can think of from a position player standpoint. And maybe I'm overthinking, and I'm not, I guess you could say steer, but so I'm just give Stevenson his flowers.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been great, and I don't know, 18-24 somehow looks a lot better than 17.
They gotta do something. They gotta do something special. I'm not gonna act like they don't, but they just at least give themselves a chance to do something special and it still matter. That's where I'm at. Like, you sweep the Dodgers, that's great, but if you would have gotten swept by the the Diamondbacks here, and then you sweep the Dodgers, I hate to say this, but it still wouldn't have been like, it wouldn't have meant a whole lot. We'll find out. I mean, they're giving themselves a chance at least. That's all we can ask. That's all we can ask. All right, you got anything else to add?
Padres lost today.
Yeah,
Reds 2.5 games out of a playoff.
Here we go.
It's crazy. I'm with you. I felt everyone's pain last night. I'm with you. But it doesn't match that they're only 2.5 out. 2.5.
You know what? I'm buying it. I'm gonna buy it. Like and I'm not just saying that just to be funny. What else are we gonna do? For all the people that want to complain and they want to act like you got to sell the team and this, you got to fire our all-star manager David Bell. The truth is we're 2.5 games out of a playoff spot, and I guess if that doesn't give you a little bit of hope, I don't know what will, because this team feels like they were dead for the last 3 weeks.
And make no mistake about it, they're very fortunate to only be 2.5 games back. The Padres hold the final wildcard spot at 22-23. In the American League, the team that holds the third and final wildcard spot is 24-17. So it's
right.
I mean, look, they're fortunate to be where they are. Again, it's still not like it's still. I think if anyone goes, oh yeah, we're right there. I mean that would be crazy, but
right.
They are still within reach. They still have a chance if they can, put some wins together, stay alive over the rest of this week. they're going to still have a chance this season. And it's wild, Trace. The Reds only have a -2 run differential. -2.
Well, they listen. They were 14-10, and their run differential was excellent at one point, and then they just fell off the face of the earth. They fell off the face of the earth. There's really no other way to say it. They played the worst baseball that you could possibly play. They had. Again, I'm not going to sit here and say that this is all of it, but they have had some unfortunate luck. Like they've lost a bunch of one-run games. When one guy would step up one night, unfortunately someone else wouldn't, and then the next night that other person would step up finally, and then the other person wouldn't. And it's just like tonight was the first time, at least in a while, it felt like everything clicked. And maybe moving forward we get a chance. I don't say we got to win tomorrow, but hey, we take let's just at this point it is what it is. I'm gonna go one day at a time. I'm not gonna sit here and try to make something out of something that it's not. And if you want to deem the season dead on May 15th, then I'm not going to stop you. And you know what? If you want to come back later and say that you were wrong, that's fine too. Or you come back later and say you were right. I don't really care. All right, the Game Time app. Now we're talking. We're cooking with gas now, baby. You want to go down to Great American Ballpark and see this world-class baseball team? There's only one way to do it, and that is download the Game Time app. You can use the code CINCY, CINCY, and you can get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Please see the Game Time app for details. And I would just say you can get 2 clicks, all-in pricing. You can get lightning deals. You can go check out the seat and look and see exactly where you're sitting before you make the purchase. Then after you make the purchase, you know what you got. Because why? You click the all-in pricing button. Download the Game Time app, use the code CINCY, CINCY, get $20 off your first purchase. And as always, terms do apply. And then as always, 988. I seen some people in the chat, 988. We could turn it into a part of the show, baby. I don't care how we do it. We just got to let people know that it's there if you need it. Simple as that. Shout out Man Therapy. You have it on the rundown right here. All-Star David Bell. You know what, Nick? I'm not even gonna. I'm gonna let you do the honors on this one.
Boy, did I love seeing this come across my my Twitter feed on a day where my Twitter feed was just so ugly. So what a breath of fresh air, and it was so great to see Reds fans so excited to have a member of their organization represent in the Midsummer Classic. I mean, just so great to see Reds fans just rally around, be so supportive and excited about David Bell getting this incredible opportunity to coach in the All-Star game. So it's just wonderful to see.
Some are saying it's nepotism. Any thoughts on that?
I don't know.
If David Bell gets fired, here's a serious question. If David Bell gets fired before the All-Star game, does he actually still coach in the All-Star game? And if he does, what uniform does he wear?
He would not coach in the All-Star unless he, I guess, got picked up by someone else. I think they would replace him with someone else. But you and I both know David Bell's not getting fired by the All-Star game.
I'm not gonna make a fool of myself and 100% say that just in case they don't lose every single game from now until the All-Star game, which is very, very unlikely. I get it. I mean, the percentage chance of David Bell getting fired but before the All-Star break is probably the same opportunity as me going and buying a Powerball ticket. The chances are unbelievably bad, but I'm not going to sit here and put myself in a spot where I don't need to, which is say something crazy and then it gets clipped up and it just lives on the internet forever. So, let's not what's the phrase they use? Like, let's not poke the bear. I think that's the term. So let's not do that. But it is cool. I mean, I'm not downplaying. It is cool. And I think David Bell has a lot of respect inside the game of baseball, which should speak some volumes, but let's face it, man. As I've said 1,000 times, Nick, I sit right down the middle on all of the discourse and all the stuff about the front office, the ownership group, and the general manager, or not the general manager, but the manager. And the reason I do that is because I understand where the hurt comes from a lot of these people that are just pissed off with the world. They just want to see their favorite team be relatively successful. And if you count playoff or postseason advancement as success, then they've been the least successful team in the entire league of baseball since most people have been watching and paying attention of our age bracket. Obviously, the generation ahead of us, they have the 1990, and then the generation ahead of them have, one of the greatest baseball teams of all time. So, I kind of give a little grace towards that side of fandom. But I'll also say, let's also be semi-honest here. David Bell is not really the problem. And I don't mean to, try to piss people off by saying that, but he's just not the problem. And unfortunately, the problem lies in a little bad luck and a couple bad baseball players that didn't play up to the level that they're even capable of playing at. So kudos to David Bell, though. Happy for him.
Yeah, cool for him. And, it's a cool opportunity. I'm sure it actually does mean a lot to him in all seriousness, have some fun with this. But it's a big deal to get to coach in the All-Star game, get to be selected by a peer that's your manager. That's a big deal for him. When's the last time a Reds manager was I don't know what they call it, assistant coach. I don't know, bench coach.
I don't know. And listen, let's be honest. I think that some of this is the relationships that you have within the game, right? I mean, if you're friends with this guy or friends with that guy, that's what a lot of this is. It's not like they're looking at the spreadsheet and they're saying, well, who's the best manager? Who's going to help me out in the All-Star game because they're just better at knowing baseball than me. That doesn't happen. So,
one nice thing that could be the result of this is could help the Reds maybe get another potential All-Star. If I don't know if Hunter Greene could potentially get added to the All-Star game, right? Because Torey Lovullo says, we'll take one of your guys. So it could also. I think Elly De La Cruz, I would think, is a pretty sure thing at this point.
100%.
Major League Baseball would be pretty dumb.
Elly De La Cruz is an All-Star. Elly De La Cruz is an All-Star.
All right, you want to see Nick Kirby mad?
I'm not going to riot because there is this thing called arbitration.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't matter at this point.
I'm just saying I'm not going to riot just because my guy can't go play in an exhibition game.
I will.
All right. Well, pitcher, you do the rioting. I won't be behind you.
Pitcher, I don't mind. Let's take the week off. Elly, get him in there.
Yeah, Bryant Miller does chime in the chat and says Brian Price was an All-Star coach in 2015. So.
What a legacy. What a legacy. Let's go.
All right. Let's jump into some things. I guess we could do Reds MIL before we get to our final topic. Is that how you want to go about this?
Yeah, I feel like it probably would flow better.
Sounds good.
All right, let's start off with Triple-A Louisville Bats. They're playing some good baseball. They won 11-4 over Columbus. Bats have won 7 of 8. They're now 22-18 on the season. Start off with the downside, though. Connor Phillips, 4 1/3, walked 5 more batters, gave up 4 earned runs. Phillips has walked 28 batters in 33 2/3 innings, ERA of 8.29. Tony Santillan, he also bitched in this one. He walked 4 batters in an inning and 2/3, but he didn't give up a run. So shout out to Tony Santillan, however he made that work. Blake Dunn, 1 for 4, drove in 2 runs. Reese Hines, 1 for 4 with a walk. Nick Martini on pace 4 times. Martini's got a .529 on base percentage and an OPS over 1,300. Levon Soto, he also homered. He walked twice as well. Double-A, Chattanooga. They won 6-2 over Birmingham. Lookout snapped their 4-game losing streak. They improved to 11-23 on the season. The story of this game was Chase Petty. He was fantastic. Struck out 9 batters over 5 innings, just gave up 1 earned run. Petty now has a 1.80 ERA and 3 starts in May, 18 strikeouts in 15 innings. Solid day from Tyler Callahan. He was on base twice, also stole a bag his 12th of the year. Austin Hendrick was 2 for 4. He stole his 6th base of the year, and I know it breaks everyone's heart. Bubba Thompson got the evening off. Down to High A, the Dayton Dragons, they won 2-1 over Great Lakes. Dragons improved to 15-19 on the season. Sorry I didn't get a picture of you, Brandon Williamson. I did run out of time. But Brandon Williamson, really strong debut on his rehab assignment. Through 3 innings, just gave up 1 base runner, 1 hit, didn't walk anyone. 4 strikeouts. He threw 38 pitches, 28 of them for strikes. Sal Stewart, big day, 4 for 4 with a double, drove in 2 runs. Cam Colliers continues to struggle of late, 0 for 3 with the walk. Hector Rodriguez, he was 1 for 4 with a walk. And they almost had the clean sweep, but Daytona, they lost 4-2 to Clearwater. Tortugas fall to 18-16 on the season. We saw the best 2 arms of the Tortugas tonight. Adam Serwinski did give up 7 hits, but only 1 earned run over 3 innings pitched. He bounced back from his first rough outing of the year, his last time out. And then Anier Laureano, he gave up a run over an inning of work, walked 3 batters. That was just his second earned run that he's allowed all season, has a 1.04 ERA. Alfredo Duno walked twice. Ricardo Cabrera, he only got 1 at-bat and left the game. I haven't saw why that was, but that's he's a top 20, top 30 prospect for the Reds. And then the ACL Reds. Oh, I don't have it updated on here. Sorry about that, folks. They lost. They won 4-2 over the Guardians. Not a whole lot going on. Sammy Stafura 0 for 4. And Sheng-In Lin got a much-deserved evening off. That's your Reds MILB.
It is. Shout out to Austin Hendricks, and that goes right in line with a nice little super chat here from Big Z. He was, I think, talking about somebody else on the Reds. We won't get into that because we'll keep it a positive show. But I think he said a wise man once said, "Every squirrel." ... I think he said finds a nut. Even every blind squirrel is what he was looking for there. But Brandon Williamson, I guess at this point, what do you expect? That's where I'm at. I don't know if I have an answer per se, but it's like, what do you? It seemed like a guy, in my opinion, that earlier this year you'd felt like you kind of was hoping that he'd be ready to go, and it was going to be up to him, or it was going to be like between Abbott and Williamson. But now that they kind of have this, for lack of a better term, they have a solid rotation, yeah? Like, where does he slot in? I don't know if he does.
Well, remember, he's going to have to. He only threw 38 pitches tonight, so he's going to probably make 3-4 starts at least before you'd even would consider making any type of move. Knock on wood, we all know things can happen.
Yeah, don't say it.
Now and then. Overall, it's just it's this year based on last year is a good reminder, and I'm as guilty of this as anyone, that you never should get too high on one part of your team versus another. Because this time last year, it was this starting pitching is a dumpster fire. They have no depth whatsoever, but the offense is great. And boy, has it completely flipped. So it's probably a good reminder right now that as good as it feels with the starting pitching rotation, as much depth as they have, it won't last like this forever. It'll balance itself back out at some point. And the same thing with the offense. At some point, you're probably going to feel like, oh, wow, this offense is all the way back. Probably when you get Marte back in there. Hopefully when you get Matt McClain, if he's able to return this year. It's a good reminder that you never should get too high or too low on one aspect of your team. Because there's going to be ebbs and flows, not just over seasons, but over stretches over multiple seasons. That just was kind of my thought when Brandon Williamson came back. I was just like, today I was just like, wow, it's just crazy how it's flipped from literally 9 months ago.
I don't know what you do with Williamson. I really don't. I mean, if nobody goes down and everybody's healthy, I don't know. It feels like I like Brandon Williamson, too. Like, I actually think that Brandon Williamson, you could argue, was the most consistent starter that the Reds had during the back end of the stretch last season. Now, having said that, that was last season, so it doesn't really matter to a certain extent. But it'll be interesting to see. I don't want to sit here and try to make predictions on what's going to happen, send him to the bullpen, this, that, and the next. The only reason I'm hesitant to send him to the bullpen, for those that are kind of maybe suggesting that's an option, is just because, like, it just feels like when you make that decision, very rarely does it seem like you can bring him back and he could become like a legitimate starter again. And maybe I'm like overthinking this a little bit, but it just feels like once you send him to the bullpen, I don't know. It would just take it would take a hell of a lot. So my guess is he'll probably throw in Louisville, and then inevitably somebody is going to need a day off from every now and again, and you slot him in there, and you kind of keep it moving type thing. So we'll find out. We'll see what they do. But Brandon Williamson, I'm glad to hear that he's throwing again, because it did feel like we didn't get a lot of information out of him, Nick. Like, we didn't really get a lot of hey, this is the problem or this isn't the problem. Just I'm glad to at least see that it's not one of those situations where he's not going to be back all year. So that's good news.
Yeah, I wouldn't even consider the bullpen. I mean, right now you have Sam Mullen, Alex Young at AAA, and inning for inning, they're probably at least as good as Brandon Williamson in a relief role.
And Big Tone.
You're not getting a whole lot of added extra value. So you would keep him in that spot unless, and again, we talked about this before, unless they think that this current staff would be okay with a 6-man rotation. I have no problem with that if they think that it wouldn't mess up Hunter Greene or Frankie Montas, or go down the list.
I don't think
they don't think it would. I don't think they will either, because they had an opportunity and they didn't. With Nick Martinez, maybe Brandon Williams would change that, but it doesn't feel like it would. But I wouldn't be against that if they don't think it would. It would, mess any of those guys up. But good to have another option. That's the most important thing, because you never know when you're going to need those options.
100% agree. Last year taught us that. If anything, taught us that you shouldn't be complaining about starting pitching depth. Last year was a perfect example, and it is only May 15th. Let's not sit here and act like we're on the final stretch of the season, and we have some major issues on being able to find guys' spots on where they can get opportunities. I'm sure there'll be some more opportunities that arise, and we'll go from there with it. But I would just say the final little quick point about Brandon Williamson. I don't think Brandon Williamson, and as much as someone that loves Brandon Williamson like myself, I think he's got a little dog in him. He's a competitor. I appreciate that out of him. I don't think he's good enough to elicit a 6-man rotation, personally. Like, it'd be one thing if I thought that he was like, I don't know, let's just close our eyes and say that it's in a perfect world, Rhett Lauder, a season from now, just dominates every spot that he's ever been. Rhett Lauder just continues to dominate. You find yourself in a position next year where you're like, we got 6 legitimate big league starters. I could be convinced them that maybe you do the 6-man rotation thing, you keep everybody fresh. But again, I'm not trying to kill Brandon Williamson by any stretch of the imagination, but 2 reasons. One, last year's great, but let's not also act like he didn't come into the season with a little bit of concerns. And then 2, he's just coming off of an injury. I'm not gonna be in a hurry to thrust him into the major leagues. I'm okay with him getting a significant amount of rehab starts or throwing in AAA for 3 or 4 or 5 starts. And if we're still at a position, Nick, at that point where nobody's gotten themselves in a position where they need a break, then I guess that's just good for the Reds. Leave it at that.
I think the only starter that would maybe be 3, and they would have to be really, really bad starts away from me considering swapping out, would be Ashcraft. Ashcraft's the only guy that, and again, they would have to be 3 terrible starts. But Ashcraft's given up a lot of home runs now, back-to-back years. That's a little bit of a concern for me long-term.
I think Abbott's another guy.
Yeah, but I mean, Abbott's thrown the ball very well, so
he has. But I'm saying, like, if you can like skip a start every so often with Abbott just to make sure he's fresh at the end of the year, that's okay too. Is what I'm getting at. I'm not saying you send Abbott down. I'm just saying that you throw Abbott on the 10-day IL every so often and call it, shoulder soreness or something, and you give him a chance to miss a start or 2, and then he comes back. And again, I know people might get up in arms, but this is a long, long, long season. And we've seen what happened down the stretch last year. So I'm just playing devil's advocate. These are all the options. Not saying that that's what they should do, to be clear. So
yeah, I'm with you on that.
All right. So moving forward, tomorrow is going to be a little bit different. We do not have a traditional West Coast night game. That is because it's going to be a businessman special out there in Arizona. So without further ado, I believe
Super chats.
I could be wrong.
Super chats.
I'm sure we got some supers. You want me to do some supers? I'm sure we do.
Do some supers real quick.
Yeah, let me go through the supers. I'm picking up what you're putting down right now, and that's funny. So here's what I'm going to do right now. This is the time that Trace is going to promo something. You know what I'm going to promo? I'm going to promo. Now, some people might think that I don't know what this is. I hope people don't take this the wrong way. Whenever I'm feeling down, right, like this is a grind, sometimes this is tough, and the Reds aren't playing well, and you're asking yourself, like, is this really all worth it? Is this really worth it to be investing this much time into a club that just doesn't seem to love us back? I go to our podcast and I check out the podcast, and there's a lot of things that you can do on a podcast that'll make you feel better. One of them is reading the reviews and seeing the rating. And you guys, I'm telling you, if you've not already, I would very much appreciate if you would just go leave a 5-star rating and give us a review. Say obviously the truth. I don't want you to sugarcoat it, but if you like the show, you help us out tremendously by giving us a rating, giving us a review, and ultimately it does something stupid in the computer algorithms, and it shows our podcast to more people. The more people, the better. Speaking of which, I don't do free ads a lot. Right there, I'm going to do one free ad, though, because they sent me coffee yesterday. My camera died. I don't even know if I got a really good chance to shout them out. This is the last free ad I'm going to do. Maybe we can convince them to come on and be official partner. But Heine, whoa, look at that. Heine Brothers Coffee. Straight black chill brew. They sent me some of these. Nick, you a coffee guy? No, I can tell.
Not really. I'll
no.
drink coffee. I'll drink coffee, but I don't crave it.
Gotcha. All right. You're not addicted like some.
No, not at all.
Right. Should we spam these folks? By spam them, I'm just saying you could send them a nice message on Twitter. Just say, hey, seen your product on Chatterbox Reds. Become a partner. I'll buy 20 pallets. Don't really say that, but.
Yeah, don't make promises.
Yeah, don't make promises.
It's a sharp-looking can, though.
Yeah, it's got like an old school little can to it. That, something like longest 94. All right, that's all the free ads. Those are free as they come, too, boy. Kind of free. They sent me some stuff. Who, what, when, where, and why, Nick?
All right, 3:40 game tomorrow. This will also be on the MLB Network if you are out of market. Andrew Abbott going for the Reds up against Brandon Pfaadt. Brandon Pfaadt, last time out against the Orioles, 6 innings, 3 earned runs. Strikeouts for him have been very up and down this season. He struck out 11 in a game, and then his last start, he had 0. So kind of been a wild card. This was a former top 25 prospect. Born and raised in Louisville, Kentucky, played baseball at Bellarmine University. A guy that last year I think actually made his best start of his young career. He'd been rocked every time and made a really great start for the Reds at GABP. It was great for the Dbacks in the postseason, 3.27 ERA. Active Reds, 3 for 27 off Pfaadt, Fraley, Friedl, and Steer, the only ones with hits. So hopefully Reds can have a little bit better luck. And hey, we'll see what happens. Andrew Abbott for the Reds last time out in San Francisco gave up 2 runs over 5 innings. He has never faced the Diamondbacks. Only 2 Diamondbacks have ever even faced Abbott. Randall Grichuk's 1 for 3 with a homer and a walk. I would expect him to be in the lineup tomorrow as he is a platoon player. Jock Peterson, the other one, he's 0 for 3. I would not expect to see him in the lineup. So, yeah, I mean, Trace, look, this is an opportunity, man. If you could somehow find a way to get a series win, I mean, how incredible would that be?
Be great. And I just seen a comment that I always shout out fun comments. JY in the chat says, if you win the series tomorrow and you split in LA, come home 5-5 on the road trip. Kind of hilarious. Kind of funny. Just it's just the problem of what happened at home, but we won't get into that. Listen, I'm gonna get greedy. I'm gonna say they're gonna win tomorrow, and then I'm gonna go out on a limb and say let's just get hot. Let's win 3 of 4 against the Dodgers. Sweep the Dodgers. I don't give a damn.
You never know. A team like the Dodgers, I saw, I think they've won 12 of 14 or something. I was like, I don't care. I hope they win every game up until the Reds, because these teams have to. The Dodgers are going to lose 50 games this year.
Right.
Maybe 45. I don't know.
What's four? What's four of them?
They're going to lose them at some point. So why not lose them to the Cincinnati Reds, a team you're kind of looking over? It is a fact. Some of these teams that are really, really good, they'll overlook a team like the Reds that are struggling.
Let's hope so.
Ellie De La Cruz kind of ruins it for us. Damn it, Ellie.
A little bit. I'm not. Listen. You want some positive optimism? This Reds starting pitching, they give you a chance every day. They really do. They give you a chance. And there's no really rollovers. There's no Luis Cessas. There's no Connor Overtons. There's no Luke Weavers. There's none of those guys. And when you don't have that, you got competent starters. You gotta punch your chance to get lucky every day. This Reds lineup, I will admit, we can all admit, the lineup doesn't look like it's a lineup that's going to, win more games than it's going to lose, but who knows? Maybe they can find lightning in a bottle, and that's all we need. Just a little lightning in a bottle for a short amount of time. What are you pointing at?
Henry Ellison. This is a man after my own heart. When we played the Dodgers last year, that's when we got hot. That's the spirit. That's what I want to see at 1:06 a.m. Let's go. Henry, you're a leader of men.
Fantastic, man. The vibes in this chat, the vibes in life, and the vibes on this show are just completely different based off what the Reds do. We are a roller coaster, that is for damn sure. All right, folks. We got two things we haven't got to do in a while. I don't even know if Nick knows. Do you know where that pillow is, Nick? Nick's done lost the pillow.
I have. Oh no. All right, hold on.
Nick, look at him. He's just cheating.
We have secured cage.
There you go. You found it. I'm glad he could find it for everybody. All right, folks. Well, I'll let him clear the graphic for you, and then he can take it away.
Here we go.
Here we go.
All right.
Let's get you in here. I'll clear the graphic.
It's been so long, man. I don't even know. Oh, not even upside down. How about that?
That was a good job. Good job, Nick. Nick on Nick
Gage,
Prime.
We need to see you about another 65 times?
A lot. Yeah, a lot. All right, folks. It is really late. It's 1:07. I'm well aware that we've been waiting for dunks for a long, long time. And by a long time, a few days. So here's the thing. Nick, go ahead and clear the graphics. I'm going to do my best to make everybody proud, though. And by proud, I mean my family upstairs, and make sure I don't wake them up. Because if I wake them up, it's going to be a bad night for me. It's going to be a real bad night. So, shout out to the Reds for getting us out of what we thought was hell. And maybe it was, for being honest. But one night later, one win in the column, feeling a little bit better about yourselves. Let's bounce back tomorrow, find a way to win, and then let's just take it to the Dodgers. I got. This isn't Dodger Blue, by the way. This isn't Dodger Blue. All right, folks, we love you. Download the podcast, give it a rating, give it a review. Go tell all of your friends about this dumb show, too, while you're at it. That's a good idea. If you've not done that, tell a friend. Make sure you like the stream. Go Reds. Love you. I'm going to go try to dunk a basketball very, very quietly.